My cousin Nate has been in the Coast Guard for over 10 years, and in all that time, I've never known him to exaggerate or invent a story. He's practical, grounded, and not the type to dabble in ghost stories or superstition, which is why the events I'm about to tell you have stayed with me ever since he first shared them. It was 2017 when Nate was assigned to Matinus Rock, a jagged strip of stone in the North Atlantic, miles off the coast of Maine. The island held nothing but a single automated lighthouse and a small outbuilding for fuel and equipment. No power grid, no plumbing, barely a cell signal. The lighthouse required occasional manual upkeep, but after strange electrical failures the year before, the Coast Guard decided to send 2 men, Nate and a fellow named Russell. The first few days were routine. They inspected the beacon gears, tested emergency batteries, refilled the diesel generator, and scraped layers of salt corrosion from the metal walls. At night, they'd read, eat from ration packs, and pass the time playing cards in the dim glow of a single lamp. The air smelled of rust and seawater. Everything was calm until night 4. At around 2 a.m., Nate woke up feeling an odd heaviness in the air, like the pressure before a thunderstorm, though the sky outside was clear. Then he noticed something. The beacon's light wasn't moving. That was serious. He woke Russell, and together they climbed the spiral stairs to the beacon room. The gears were still turning, but something had jammed the light. A large, soaked black cloth was tangled deep in the mechanism, slick with moss and reeking of rotting seaweed. The doors were locked, the windows sealed. The next night, same time. Again, the light was stuck. But this time, the blockage was a red scarf, frayed at the edges, dripping seawater, tiny barnacles clinging to the threads. That was the moment Nate knew this was no coincidence. They checked every entry point. Everything was secure. From then on, they locked the beacon room after the last evening check and barricaded the stairwell with heavy crates. At night, the lighthouse stood silent, its beam cutting through fog. On the 7th night, Nate woke to find Russell whispering in the dark, not to him, but to the corner of the room. Later that night, Nate caught him staring out the window at the rocks below. Russell claimed he'd seen someone standing there in the beacon's edge light, someone who vanished when the darkness returned. By the 9th night, Russell was quieter, restless, muttering about voices in the walls. That night, they both heard slow, deliberate footsteps coming down the spiral stairs from the beacon room. Neither of them had moved. The steps stopped. The silence that followed was worse. On the 11th night, the beacon failed again. This time, the beacon room door was wide open, wind whipping through. The massive bulb had been unscrewed and placed upright in the center of the floor. You couldn't twist that free without effort. As Nate stared, he felt something cold brush his back. He spun. Nothing there. Russell's face drained of color. He pointed at the wall and whispered that he'd seen a hand come out of the bricks. They retreated to the bedroom, locking the door,
sitting awake with knives under their pillows.
At first light, Nate used the emergency sat phone to call for pickup, citing a mechanical failure. When the boat arrived, the crew asked about a distress call at 2:12 a.m., a call full of static, a voice saying, "There's someone here with us." Nate swears he never made it.
Russell quit the Coast Guard a few months later. Nate still does maintenance work, but says he'll never go back to Matinus Rock. The sea keeps its secrets, and some places, he says, are better left alone.